Hey friends, I am coming on this afternoon just to share a few tips on how to deal with cravings. There's three types of cravings. One is a psychological craving, and often when we're dealing with psychological cravings, we are dealing with something like emotional eating, stress. We had a crazy, crazy day at work and we're just trying to kind of like reward ourselves a little bit with some food. We have physical cravings, which are, really dealing with like our blood sugar and our hunger hormones. And those really come on quickly, especially when we eat a lot of sugar. And then the other way that we have cravings is through our habits. And so that's what I was going to talk about today, because a lot of us can probably identify with like that nighttime ice cream habit, or maybe you can identify with that, like I can. So it's something that I struggled with a lot in my journey. And so I just wanted to share a few tips. Now, a lot of times with habits, we have created those habits, just from different times in our lives, but even as early as childhood, like if you think about maybe some of the sleepovers at friends' houses and you're eating candy till 1 in the morning. They can start all the way back there. Our family gatherings, we're used to eating dessert or large amounts of dessert. And I know for me, like I would every afternoon go to the vending machine after school and have a candy bar. And so, for a long time, it was like that afternoon chocolate craving was there. So, how it's kind of manifested for me over the last few years was really when my kids were little. So, we're talking 10 plus years. When they were really little, I would put them to bed and I would just be exhausted from the day. And I would just be like, I need to watch my show and I need some candy or some ice cream or cookies. Really, ice cream and cookies were the things that were my struggle for a lot of years. And it really became a nightly habit. And it was what happened is that it was a habit, it was associated with my TV watching. And so it was just like this automated thing. Um, and so, one of the things that's really helped me in my journey is just a way that I kind of walked through changing that habit. So, I thought I would share some things with you. We can absolutely develop a new association with something. Like for me, TV didn't have to always be about ice cream and cookies, it can be about relaxing at night still. And what I kind of did was, instead of trying to tackle all of the different times about eating, I just thought let's tackle this evening thing because that seemed to be the thing that was kind of hindering me the most. And so I'm all about small changes. That's what I work with my clients on. Is let's transition and be kind to ourselves when we're changing. So this is not like a deprivation thing. But I had to first figure out what was going on and what was my trigger, and that was the ice cream and cookies at night. So when was I doing it? That was at night. It was when. What's the root cause? I had to take some time and think about, this is about me being mentally exhausted. It started back when my kids were really little. It's about me trying to find a way to relax. And so once I kind of identified that, I was like, wow, that started back then. And really, I had to look at my need too. My deeper need was to relax. So, what I tried to do was, first of all, just take this through a small change approach. And the first thing that I did was just did dessert every other night instead of every night while I was watching TV. So trying to just be kind to myself in the beginning and say, I'm just going to do this every other night rather than every night, and allow myself to kind of get used to that. And then what I would do on the nights that I didn't have dessert is I would make like tea, and I really like chamomile tea, and I still do that today because it really relaxes me. And since that's my need, now yours might be a different need, right? You might need to take a bath or find another way to relax, but that really helps me at night. And then I also chew a lot of gum, and so that just gives me something to kind of do while I'm relaxing. And then I would also try to find like an alternative. So the way that I did that was not to substitute, because I think that's a different way. Like for instance, if cookies, cookies was my thing. If I try to make healthier cookies or something, I still would just kind of overdo it on them. And so I realized that instead of doing the same thing, like the same types of trigger foods, I would find an alternative. So I call those alternatives. And one thing that worked for me was like a little bit of dark chocolate, or like some lilies, which are like stevia sweetened candies. So I would do those right after dinner. And so that way I'm not like doing it at night again and kind of recreating that association with TV. But that way I felt like I got something sweet, and and it was satisfying. And then at night, I would eventually transition to not having anything, just kind of doing tea. Now, that's what worked for me. And I still, have dessert here and there. It's not like, but I had to work through that issue for a while. Just like cravings were controlling me. And this is how I worked through that. And now I'm stronger, and a lot of 2 years has gone by, and I'm able to have some stuff that I want to have too at night. But I do have to watch it because if it can become a habit again. And then if it is a habit again, I walk through these same steps and just in kindness to myself. So just wanted to share that today. Hope you're doing great. And if you have other questions, please let me know. I'd love to just answer other questions that you might have. So talk to you later.